Unless you've been under a rock for the last week, then you're aware of the issue that has come up regarding George Floyd. And you'll notice in whatever city you are in the country, there's a good chance there's a protest going on in regards to the issues regarding black men, false imprisonment, use of force. I recently did a video in regards to what we can do about police brutality against people of color, and I'll leave the link to it down below. But one thing we wanted to get to is that for many people in this country, they don't get the point of what all the hoopla is about, right? One thing I think that's beautiful in this situation is that this has no longer become just one community's issue, as we see people of all races and ethnicities stand with the black community in outrage over this. It's a very, very harmonious time with some of us. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's people of other ethnicities as well as our own who are saying the most harmful things, becoming agent provocateurs, trying to provoke things and invoke or infer that some people are the catalysts for certain actions that are going on during this time. What was the point of George Floyd? For those of you who don't understand, for the MAGA supporters, for those of you who feel that black people are in a form of subjection and those darkies need to act a certain way and know their place, this is what the point is, right? The point is that we understand and we wish you would stop lying and let's have a real discussion of why it is that in this country, every person of color knows that if these officers would have killed a dog in the street, there would have been more outrage and more action done immediately for that killing than there is for George Floyd. Send a shout out to the mayor of Minneapolis for his swift action, decisive action. He was outraged. That was something that was surprising and refreshing, because he didn't see just a black man out there, he saw a man. And another point of George Floyd is that during the time of COVID, when most people are a little bit more sympathetic, a little bit more humane, a little bit more amenable to other people based on all the things that we've just dealt with, that these people callously killed this man for no reason. We sat here and watched video from every angle, and not one of them justified them even arresting him, much less killing him. And the manner in which they did it, over the matter of 7 minutes. There's more humanity for animals and how they're slaughtered than the way George Floyd was killed. The third point, is that as black folks, we understand that any interaction, no matter how mundane, can lead to situations just like this. For those of other communities that don't get it, and if you are a person of the white community, the Asian community, any other community who stood and took part in those visuals and taken part in those protests, we respect that. But for those of you that don't get it, even in our own community, imagine, if you will, an officer comes to ask a question, or he walks in and you feel the need to ask a question. It would just be unthinkable that that little interaction could lead to your friend, your family member, your loved one dead. This is the reality of people of color in this country. The simplest thing that's not even supposed to be a punishable offense, a reason to get upset, can lead to death. And we really would enjoy, we really would appreciate if for once you would stop acting like this elephant is not in the room. Really. That would go really far. to having a real dialogue and see how things could change. The biggest point of George Floyd, for a person who will become a parent, when their child comes into this world, a child that they plan for, a child they intend to raise, you want your child to have the best of everything. You want your child to have the best opportunity. You want your child to be bright and healthy, and you want your child to understand they can achieve anything just as long as they apply themselves. For black men and black women, the reality is this. Our children have 1 in a million chance of becoming the next Barack Obama in this country. They have about a 1 in 5 chance of being the next George Floyd, being the next Trayvon Martin, being the next Eric Garner, being the next Sandra Bland, and the list goes on. I could do a 2-day video on just the names of people who died similarly, with very little provocation in this country. And I wish, if you just looked at the numbers, that you'd admit that it's disproportionately black to the point where it can't be an accident. That's the point of George Floyd. For those of you who don't get it, for those of you who are unsympathetic to it, just admit it's there. Let's have this conversation. Until we have a level playing field, the George Floyds will not stop. There'll be another one. No matter what you do. Someone will be asking for direction, someone will call the police, someone will be someplace and fit a description. And somehow or other, even though they should find out that this person was not guilty of anything, this person shouldn't even been stopped, this person shouldn't have been arrested, this person ends up dead on videotape. And the worst thing in the world is the parents and the loved ones. The last words they hear from their loved ones, it's not, "I love you, I will always be here for you, I wish I could have done more." Their last words are, "I can't breathe." That's the point of George Floyd, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not forget that. Rest in peace to George Floyd, Eric Garner, Sandra Bland, and the thousands of others since the inception of this country who died unjustly, simply because of the color of their skin. And for those of us, those of you who are unsympathetic, who are making memes, making mockery of this man's death and struggling in the agony of his family, let's just keep this in mind. We understand that there's people out there, those forces out there, that just want us to die because we're black and we make them uncomfortable. And until we can have that discussion without you saying, "Oh, you're pulling the race card," or whatever, sit there and watch that 7-minute video of that man dying. And you tell me how it's unthinkable for me to draw that conclusion.